today. As we heard, we are going to talk about the warranty mark. But before we talk about that, I would like to talk about the company history a little bit. So what does it mean in general? Just some facts and figures. RAL in and of itself is quite old, and we are going to celebrate 100 years in about 3 years' time. It started, somebody's microphone is still on. Ah, maybe now it's better. Yeah? Okay. All right. So we're going to have our 100th anniversary in a little while. And of course, it really started with this label. That was 1925. As you can see to the left, the idea was that it was from the economy for the economy, was supposed to be a rationalization instrument. So simplification was key by way of rules that the market puts on itself, and especially the market participants. Originally was called the registration. Of course, that still exists today, being sort of like a ancient replica, and that is something that we wanted to do. So it's really about a quality mark, and just a specific example would be textile companies going to RAL, and they actually worked out a set of rules together in regards to what kind of aspects textiles have to fulfill in order to then be silk, for example, and all of that was then kept under a RAL registration number. So overall, you would say it's sort of like the original mark in the German context. So that was in the Republic of Weimar back then. So in line with the nation thought, 1927, the RAL colors were also included and was really about the whole thought of having really the language of colors being produced. So far, the problem was that you could talk about the burgundy red, but what that really meant, nobody really knew. Originally, it started with a range of 40 shades of colors, and now it's more than 2,500 overall. However, in the beginning, that was very much unique that colors were defined like that. And then for a very long time, there was nothing that was new in the system. In 1978, we then had the Blue Angel, and I think we're all familiar with that. That also joined in, and RAL actually participated in that by the movement, but RAL has involved ever since. And I'm going later on as well. It's very similar when it comes to the label, the Euro, which was started in 1992, all known as the Blue Angel. That's just an institution in and of itself. But in 2008, they then structurally changed something within our company. So we also had the RAL GmbH that was founded in 2013. We then also got the RAL license, and in 2015, it was the RAL Academy. So those are the individual components of RAL. So I'm going to talk about the RAL quality mark in just a minute. And then we also have RAL colors. I already talked about that's the second oldest part of our company. We have more than 2,500 colors that are described, and they are measured in our house. And of course, those are sort of like the colors that you are familiar with. And of course, in today's day and age, that's one of the established standards that we have. And then our biggest portion would be RAL Environment, as I already said, RAL Umwelt, that would be the Blue Angel, and also the Eco label, that's where they're anchored. And both of them are labels that are essentially used to label products when it comes to them being environmentally friendly in terms of the production, etc. So they're different from competitors because they just have a better situation for the environment. The Blue Angel, we have about 12,000 products and product lines that are labeled with the Blue Angel, and that is something that is being further developed all the time because of the jury labels, and they always show what kind of attributes the products have to fulfill. And of course, that is always adapted with time. And of course, the thresholds that you have to achieve are increased all the time so that not too many products can have the blue label in the end, because that really just shows products that are better for the environment than competitive products. And then another thing that is very important, that would be the RAL logo license, which exists since 2013. So you can see the T logo. I think almost everybody knows that in Germany, that is Stiftung Warentest, and RAL was one of the founding members of that. And Stiftung Warentest is something that is very well known. At the end of the day, they always give grades for products from different industries, and these tested products where the manufacturers can then approach RAL and ask for the license for advertising purposes. So that means that we have time limited usually it's 2 years, and they can just purchase a licensing package, and then these manufacturers can use this T logo. Of course, if they were tested beforehand, they can advertise with that on their products. It's very similar in regards to licenses. So the green dot, grüner Knopf, that's a meta label in order to label textiles that are very good in terms of ecology all over the world, and also in regards to working conditions. There And then we also have the RAL Academy. First and foremost, that's a cooperation on the part of RAL with universities, and it's really about the expertise of the 100-year existence of RAL, and also specifically RAL Color is working with academies and universities. So we're gonna talk about the quality marks. There are 150 RAL quality marks from different industries, so it could be for agriculture. I mean, that exists everywhere. So there's also a quality mark for regulations about experts from other countries and hiring them in a fair way. And of course, that makes it where, I mean, their passports are taken from them, which is the case quite often. Philippines, for example, is a very well-known country where lots of people are here to take care of others, so they also need to learn German, etc. All of that is then verified via the quality mark. Now the question is, what is RAL Quality Mark all about? So it's based on many central pillars, and that is also the system, and that makes it different than other marks. So, for example, or labels, and that is probably the most essential part, would be norms and regulations in this country are very important, so we all have to live by that, and RAL is always the quality on top of that. So it's always just a catalog of attributes that have to be met for products or services, and within these catalogs, it says the actual rules, and that would be all different norms and rules that apply in these different industries, so all of those are listed. And then, of course, we differentiate what kind of added benefit products and services have to meet in order to also be able to carry this label in the future. It's also very important, how is all of that going to be controlled? Usually what happens is the product is going to be controlled, and then it can wear the or have the label for the whole duration of the life cycle, but that's not the case for us. We have external auditors who are looking into it, and they're going to make sure that all the different characteristics are met, and it has to happen twice, sometimes once a year, by this external body. And part of that would also be that the member companies want to have this label for their products, and they also constantly monitor everything themselves. And this is something that is also tested from the external body, and that way we can ensure that the product and services that have the RAL label actually are in line with the requirements. And then another thing that is very important, and that would be one of the big benefits of the RAL label, we are working very fast, so that means that it's possible to really adapt them to current times, specifically when there are a lot of things that are new. We adapt these sets of rules on a regular basis in collaboration with the body that invited us to be here today. So it's always constantly adapted and adopted so that they're always in line with the current status quo. Originally, RAL quality mark has been very old. It's really from B2B exclusively, and that's why it's very much from the construction industry. But I already mentioned that we also have a lot of quality labels for other industries, and that's why we can actually cover a lot of different industries and areas. All right, one of the other important points is that you have to make sure that these labels are also wanted and accepted by the public. And we have another important point for that contributes here, and that would be that each of these regulations, as soon as RAL receives the request, and once everything is written, all the relevant institutions and ministries are a part of that. So on the part of RAL, as soon as there's this draft format, we are sending it out to all the different institutions, we're asking for feedback, we're receiving this feedback, and then, of course, we have to consider this feedback. And in this way, we can ensure that external expertise is also included in order to have additional benefits. And also, it's very important in this way, we can also make it where these sets of rules are wanted from the public and the economy as a whole. And because of all of these pillars, we can make sure that it's actually a benefit for the end consumer. And of course, that also shows that it's good for everyone. So in our context, for window builders, but also for end consumers. All right, now there are a couple things that are new in the system. I'm not entirely sure if you're affected by that, but currently, when it comes to the harmonized norms, unfortunately, because of a legal judgment, there is actually a hold up, and that means that there are almost no new norms that are approved. And because this is a problem that you can't really solve at the moment, or at least there's no progress being made on the part of the regulatory body on the European and German basis, there are some adaptations, and there are two adaptations that are carried out. So on the one hand, it would sort of be official tendering, and that is something that started in October of 2017, I think. So there is this very well-known article 43 about official tenders, and it says that quality marks can be requested officially. So what does that mean? It means that if you have a tender, you can say, okay, in this context, I would love to have this quality mark XYZ, RAL, for example, and then all the people who are offering have to prove that they actually have this label. So that's pretty easy to manage if you are a member and you have it, everybody else, then of course they cannot be excluded. However, they have to prove that they fulfill all of these requirements that are part of it. So part of the RAL quality marks. So they have to prove that they fulfill them. And of course, that requires a lot of effort, a lot of work, and this is definitely a specific added benefit for our quality label. It is very important that this added benefit, of course, that's coupled to different aspects, and it is important to know that these rule sets for quality labels are just objective and traceable, non-discriminatory ideas. So that means that is the case for all RAL sets of rules. That is very important to us, and it's also important that they are very much open and transparent. That's how they worked out, and I mentioned that as well. That is also the case for RAL quality labels, and of course, they also have to be accessible to everybody that's affected. That's also the case here. So everybody who wants to do that, theoretically, they have the possibility to become a member as long as they are in line with the rules and regulations. You can't have the label if you don't meet the requirements. And on top of that, it's also very important that these requirements are going to have to be set by a third party. That is also the case because at the end of the day, we have the association. So that is definitely an added benefit for those that have and carry the quality label. And the second thing is, and that would be the biggest topic for us, it would be the so-called guarantee label. So far, this guarantee label, that is something new that has been existing since 2017. So far, it was only collective brands. That would be the classic situation. Coca-Cola, for example, Coca-Cola company, they had a collective brand that they signed up, and with that, they're protecting this Coca-Cola logo. And it was exactly the same for us. So, of course, most of them were protected by collective labels. And so far, because it's so new, it's still the case. There are a couple pioneers, like Mr. Feigenbutz, for example, who already applied for it. And that is mainly there to really strengthen it even more based on this backup of norms that we have at the moment, and there's a guarantee function that's focused on. So it's not only the branding as we have for the collective brand, but it's really just the guarantee function. So that means that we have a quality guarantee, which is very important for us. So it is important to know that, again, there are specific attributes that have to be met in order to really have this warranty label and apply for it. So for that, you actually need a You need a trademark, so that means you need to mention all the people that are involved, so it would be all the ordinary members who are going to carry this label, and then also the characteristics have to be met, and that is something that would be in our set of rules, and as I mentioned, it's very much detailed what the added benefit would be, what do companies have to do, and also their products or services in order to really be able to carry this label. And then there also needs to be an ongoing monitoring situation, not only of that, but also the type needs to be defined, and that is also something that we have seen for a long time. So we see that in our rules as well, and then using it and how they're gonna be used has to be set. So all of that is something that has always been the case for RAL, and some people may say that we copied or others copied from RAL, and also there are sanctions if you don't do that. That is also defined. So that is also something you're going to find in our sets of rules, and all of that has been done for forever, and it's part of all of these different labels. So of course, the warranty labels are definitely in line with what we do and is tailored to what we do now. The big question is, what is the added benefit of that? Well, I already said that the warranty function is the focus, and the biggest benefit would be for the collective brands that we've had so far. It was always the case that was only possible if there was abuse, for example, of the warranty label. It was only possible to go to court. So that means if somebody was using it, you could go to court, and they're going to be asked to not do that anymore in the future. And because of this warranty label, because there's so much happening in the background, it is now the case that you can also go to court and ask for a damages compensation. That is definitely making this whole situation a lot stronger. So that is definitely strengthening the system overall. And again, now this is something that is good for all companies who are part of this and who want to carry this label. All right. Now, to summarize this again, what kind of benefits do I have if I'm using this quality mark? So, being a member of this, if my products or services are carrying it, well, I just mentioned it. It's the latest development. I have an easier participation of official tenders if they are required. And sometimes it doesn't work because it's just a new development. So, it's just a lack of knowledge on the part of the public tender offerers. But it's definitely something that's upcoming, and partially there's some industries, for example, when it comes to canals, without quality marks, you cannot be part of any official tenders. It's just not possible because we're covering 99% of the market. And another thing, and I haven't mentioned that today yet, since there's a quality label for this technical delta, so my products are better if they have this label. If my products are better, then usually they're also having a longer shelf life that goes with it. So if better materials are being used, etc. And that also means, on the other hand, that they are better for the environment because the products are just better. And now I would say, because of the Green Deal, they're asked. So if you have the quality label, you don't only have preferential treatment when it comes to public tenders, especially if they're asked for, but you can also prove that your products are more sustainable. And again, that makes it where you get preferred treatment. And of course, it's very, very clear at the end of the day, this is just a label as well. So just proof of quality from the outside that is given. And with that, of course, you can also advertise. That is very clear as well. And my final point would be, of course, because of this new warranty marker, you have added security because you can also go after damages in court. So you can file for damages compensation. And then it is very clear, and that is also something that we see here, since we have a lot of people here who are window builders or sometimes even end consumers. So, of course, there are many benefits here as well, and I mentioned that already. Of course, that also is a lot of work for producers because you have to reach this quality first and foremost. But at the end of the day, this leads to a product that really outperforms the basis. So it's not only something that is required that's fulfilled, but it's actually more quality. And this quality is something that was checked by experts. So that is sort of insured, and being a window builder or an end consumer just have a better product if you look at these labels. And again, the products last longer. And again, I have a more environmentally friendly product, something that people talk about, it's saving resources. So if you look at these labels, that's much better. And I would also say that what we see here, and in addition to the better quality, there are also some sustainability aspects. And that also means that it's really about durability, and they also fulfill more environmental qualities. And that means that where this in general, but also in the context of windows, this is what it looks like in the window context, we almost have a gapless coverage of everything. So it would be windows, facades, doors, that would be in hall one. And then we also have Mr. Feigenbutz with the profile systems, and then also back there in hall one, close to the main door. Windows are definitely represented very well in RAL, which is also great orientation for everyone, specifically window builders and end clients. All right, that was everything I wanted to say. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. If not, if you have any questions later on, feel free to contact me or RAL itself. You can also just stop by. We have a great, great house. It's super nice, super new. The window fronts are definitely worth seeing. We have great window treatments. And of course, yeah, just stop by if you're interested. And otherwise, we are happy to answer questions, or I'm just going to